Hello, it's me! Did you forget that I existed? Because I sure did. I collected a ton of video games in March, but not a whole lot in April, so I figured I would just lump them together into one video like I usually do when I have a little bit of a disparity between adjacent months. So let's talk about the stuff that I got in March and April. Yeah, I'm already forgetting how to do this. It's been such a long time since my last pickup video. But we're doing it! Here we go! Alright, so March was way more lucrative for video game collecting than April was. So I'll just start with March and then we'll work our way down, and eventually I'll get to the couple of things I picked up in April. But I got Wheel of Fortune Junior Edition for Nintendo Entertainment System. I love Wheel of Fortune. I watch Wheel of Fortune with my grandmother every now and again, and along with Jeopardy. And it's just, I don't know, the two of us really get into it. And I was searching on Let Go for some games one day while I was hanging out with my grandma, and I came across a listing for the Wheel of Fortune Junior Edition along with another NES game, which I also picked up, and I'll do that one next. And I was like, wow, Grandma, look at that. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty good coincidence. Because we watch Wheel of Fortune. And she's like, you should go get that. And I was like, you're right. I also don't have it. I have regular Wheel of Fortune. Let's do it. So I drove out to meet this man, and I bought his Wheel of Fortune Junior Edition off of him. So yeah, that's that. It's just Wheel of Fortune, but for kids, I guess, because the answers are very, very easy to get. So there it is. Let's talk about the other one. Wouldn't you know it, the other one was Jeopardy! 25th Anniversary Edition. No wonder it was so coincidental and my grandma was like, this is a sign, go buy these. But yeah, check it out! How cool is that? Actually, let me get them both together. The weekday evening lineup on ABC. Bam! Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. Sure, these are not the regular editions, I have them both already. That's why I wanted to pick up these two. But how cool is that? I spend a lot of time watching Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune in that order. Right there, one right after the other, with my grandma. And then boom, Let Go is like, Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, how about that? I thought that was super cool, and I'm really happy to own these. Thanks, Grandma, by the way, for telling me to go out and get those because of the coincidence. I was going to get them anyway, but I thought it was super cool that you told me to. That means a lot. Thanks. So I went yard sailing a lot in March, and I got a couple great things and a couple not so great things. I went to this yard sale with Dustin and Joe right here in Islip, where I live, and as I was sifting through this woman's CDs or whatever, I noticed she had a couple PlayStation 1 games, so I did pick one up. Here it is. But before I get to the game, as I'm sifting through this woman's games, she's like, yeah, when my fucking husband left me, he left all his tools in the garage, so like if you guys want to look through them, take them away from me. And I'm just like, cool, I'm really glad we get to hear about your grudge against your ex while I'm here at your yard sale trying to buy things from you. No thanks, I don't need any tools, but how about this copy of Putter Golf that I got for $1? So, this game's terrible, but it was the only PlayStation 1 game she had that was of any quality, really. The other ones were all like, I mean, this is a crappy sports title, I guess, but you know what I mean when I say crappy sports title. It wasn't a Madden or like a FIFA or anything like that. And it also was the only game she had that wasn't cracked or damaged in some way. So I was like, alright, that's a sign, I'll pick this up. Let's read the back a little bit. Miniature golf was never this wild, with a capital W, in case you were curious. Take the fine pastime of miniature golf and add the zany characteristics of video game, singular, and you get Putter Golf, perhaps the most challenging mini-golf simulation ever made. 1 to 4 players compete on courses that defy gravity, bend physics, and offer multiple mind benders to the art of using a putter. Conveyor belts, warp holes, bounce, shock, fences, whatever those are, and much more, and an all-new level of gameplay to the classic American sport. except that I think golf was invented in Scotland. Unless they're specifically talking about mini golf. I might have to check on that. I'm not sure, but whatever. So we have this like really cool realistic picture of like a putting, right? And it looks like it's a regular golf putter and a regular golf ball on a regular green. And it says putter golf. But it's actually a miniature golf game. It's not a game about putting with regular golf. And also, look at these realistic shots, right? And then you have like cartoony, like weird graphics in the actual game. It really doesn't do a good job of representing what's possible in the game itself. And for a game that came out in the mid-90s, actually, this game is from 2001. For a game that came out in 2001, for this not to accurately represent what the game is going to be, that's a big no-no. But I'm so glad I got putter golf. It's fantastic. It sucks. I went to Savers a lot this past collection time of March and April, and I didn't find too much, but what I did find was pretty cool. It's a Wii Classic controller. Check it out. Of course, since it was from Savers, it had a sticker on the back, which I removed, and it also has some yellowing around the joysticks, which you could probably see, but I will take care of that too. I do know how to retrobrite, and I'm not afraid to do it. But other than that, I cleaned this thing up and it looks great. I tested it and it's completely working and it's totally functional. Really happy I found this, and I wouldn't have found it too if I didn't just wake up one morning and decide, hey, I'm going to Savers. And it was actually on I think it was on a Sunday? It was either on a Sunday or a Friday. I just know it wasn't a Saturday, which is my usual collecting day, because I was just so bored. I figured I would just go on a different day. But yeah, cool find. Really happy I got this. For those of you who don't know, if you want to play virtual console games on the Wii, well, a lot of them are from consoles that use more than 2 buttons. And when you hold the Wii remote on its side, you only get 2 buttons. So Nintendo was like, what if we have a controller with a lot more buttons? Just plug that bad boy into the Wii remote and you can use this instead. Boom, the Wii Classic controller. I never had it, which is weird, right? So I finally got it. There it is. Speaking of savers, and speaking of controllers, I found this Halo 4 Xbox 360 controller with a transforming D-pad at Savers as well. And I like the D-pad to be in this orientation where it's like sticking out a little bit. The other orientation, it's not. I don't know how to describe it. It's weird. But either way, this was also a little bit dirty, but I cleaned it up. And by a little bit dirty, I really just mean it had some sticker residue on it, but that was about it. Everything else looks to be in working order, and I did test it, and it works. There isn't much I can say about this other than that, because I don't know the history behind it, because I don't really care too much about Xbox 360, or really any of Microsoft's consoles at all, because they're not good, in my opinion. But anyway, that's a story for another day. I'm still happy I got this. In addition to the multiple Savers runs that I made this past March and April, I also went to a bunch of Goodwills and stuff like that, and wouldn't you know it, with my mom. I was just like, I don't want to go alone. Would you want to come with me and be my collecting buddy? And Mom was like, I guess. And she was nice enough to actually get a few things for me, even though she didn't have to. So I went to the Goodwill in Comac here on Long Island, and my mom got me Pokemon Battle Revolution for the Wii. And it's complete, which I was super happy about, because oftentimes going to a Goodwill and expecting a game to have the manual in it, that's a fever dream. But check it out! Check it out! Check it out! I was so happy. But yeah. Thank you, Mom, for doing that for me. It really means a lot. And I never had this game, and I've never played it. I don't think I've ever even seen footage of it, so this is going to be a fun one to experience for the first time, and I'm really happy that I got it. Thanks, Mom. Savers is also a good place to find PC games pretty cheaply. In fact, they have sometimes they have more PC games than console games at the Savers I go to. Not all the time, but sometimes. And on this trip, in March, the same trip where I got a couple different things that I'll show you soon. Actually, not the same trip where I got the 2 controllers I just showed you. So I messed up that sentence. I was going to say the same trip where I got those controllers, but then I thought about it, and that's not true. So, we'll talk about it later. But check it out, I got Half-Life Game of the Year Edition, Half-Life 1, for PC, which I think is pretty damn cool. And, yeah, it's in there, and it's pretty cool. I can only assume that since this game is from 1999, that it's supposed to have like a big box with it, so it's not complete, but the jewel case and the disc with the art is enough for me when it comes to PC games. I'm not the biggest PC game collector. If I come across a big box, I'm happy, but I don't need it. I'm more of a console collector than anything else. I go after boxes for console games. But yeah, really happy to own this. I've never played a Half-Life at all. I've only played the Half-Life spin-off series Portal, which I love with all my heart. And now it's time to finally experience Half-Life 1 on CD the way God intended. Let's do it. Talk about old games for PC that I still didn't have. This is from that same Savers trip as the Half-Life game. The Quake game. The 2. Quake 2 for PC. Again, I can only assume that because this game is from '97, that it's supposed to have a big box with it, but again, the CD's gone. Oh no, where did it go? Well, it's not very secure in this case, unfortunately. The little holder in the middle, I guess you could call it a spindle, is not very good. But check it out, there is the disc in the case. And the back is there. It's worth mentioning, I don't know if I showed it, the back is there on Half-Life also. I'm happy with that, and I've never played Quake 1 or 2 or 46 or however many Quakes ever came out. I'm not too sure. I need to get the hang of the history of Quake. I can't talk today very well, but whatever. It's Quake 2 on PC. Check out the reflection of my Pokemon poster. Cool, right? Remember that Goodwill in Comac I went to and how Mom bought me a couple things even though she didn't have to? Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn for PlayStation 4. Now, I already have this game on PC, but when it comes to Final Fantasy, I'd rather play it on console. So I was like, I'll get it on console eventually, whatever. And then I found it at Goodwill for $3. It's still selling for a lot more than that. Thank you, Mom. And now I can finally play Final Fantasy XIV on console with my friends who play Final Fantasy XIV. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be great. I played a lot with friends of mine that I don't really talk to anymore. But now I have other friends who play it who keep asking me to play. Melanie, I'm looking at you. So we'll play together. Check it out. Let's do it. Well, after the Goodwill in Comac, my mom and I took a trip to the Goodwill in Ronkonkoma, here on Long Island, where, again, she was nice enough to get me a complete copy of Little Big Planet 1, Game of the Year Edition. And it is complete, which is pretty cool. Again, not something you really come across at Goodwill's, complete games with the manual. But she was nice enough to get this for me. I played Little Big Planet a lot with my buddy Chris, because he was the only person I knew growing up who owned a PlayStation 3, because they were super mondo expensive when they first came out. And he had a Fat Boy model that was like $600 or something like that. But he had Little Big Planet, and we played it together, and I fell in love with the music and the gameplay, and I loved all of the different... My light shield just fell down. I'll put that up before the next jump cut. All the different online stages people used to make. I remember we used to look up like Shark Attack, and then people designed levels where you would have to avoid sharks with like sensors on their heads that made them home in on you. And it was fucking amazing. It was so much fun. So I have Little Big Planet now. I'm almost certain the servers are down for that now. But either way, I'm very happy to own this. Let me put that light shield back up so that I don't look like a washed out scarecrow of a shell of a man, of a person, of a human being. The reason I picked up putter golf at that yard sale is because it wasn't a Madden game. When I went to Savers and picked up Quake and Half-Life, they had a Madden game for PlayStation 1. And I was like, okay, fine, sure, how much is it? $1? Cool. Madden 97. It's football on the PlayStation, and John Madden gives his stamp of approval. Yay, can I move on? Okay, this one's gonna blow your mind because it fucking blew mine. Usually I pick up games at launch when I want to buy them, if they're coming out new. But unfortunately, there were a couple games for Switch that I couldn't pick up because of family issues and funding combined. So I still didn't have them in my collection all the way up until March, even though they came out in 2018/2017, I think, for one of them, but whatever. Maybe I was lucky, though, that I didn't pick them up. Because I went to a yard sale, and, yeah, went to a yard sale, and this woman had 3 Nintendo Switch games sealed that she was selling for $5 a piece. I didn't even haggle. I just bought them from her. I asked her why, because I was curious, and she said, well, her son has a Switch, and she bought those games for him when they came out, and he still hasn't even opened them. So it's his loss. She's just gonna sell them to whoever wants them for $5. Splatoon 2, Sonic Forces, and Kirby Star Allies. $15 total. Brand new. Unopened. Of course, I opened them because I want to play these. But oh my god! What a deal! Okay, here's another thing that I got with those controllers when I went to Savers. I got TAC-2, the Staff of Dream, for PlayStation 2. I'm happy. Are you happy? I remember seeing commercials for TAC and the Power of Juju when they came out, but not TAC-2. In fact, for the longest time, I didn't even know they made a TAC-2. I learned that after I became a collector. But yeah, there's a TAC-2, and apparently it's good, according to some people. And it is complete! I'm surprised about that. Again, I got very lucky with the games that I picked up at thrift stores like Savers and Goodwill these past 2 months. Very happy. It's a platformer, in case you don't know, that tries to be fun, but it's not very fun. It's a mascot platformer in an age where mascot platform games were dying out. Some people really like this game, and some people really don't. But TAC was nice enough to grab himself a Nickelodeon television show. Whatever. I went to a yard sale with my mom on the same day that I went to all those Goodwills, and she was like, I'll just wait in the car, you go in, because we were on our way somewhere else. And I was like, okay, I'll make this quick. I walked up, hey, do you have any video games? I think we have a couple, come inside. And I go inside, and this woman opens up her drawer, and there's a slew of Xbox games and the console, the original Xbox. And she's like, $20 for everything? And I was like, that's a good deal, honestly, because the console and like 17, 18, maybe 20 games, that's amazing. But I didn't need the console, and there were a lot of games in there I didn't care about, or that I already had. So I'm like, how about, I'll just take these 3, because again, I don't really like to resell unless I think it's a really good deal, or I'll take doubles in to give to other people, but no one I know would care about this stuff, and I didn't need the money for double selling. So whatever, I was like, how about these 3 games, these 3 right here, and we'll just I don't know, I'll just buy these, what do you think? And she's like, alright, well, how about $6? And I was like, $6 for just these 3? But you're gonna sell me everything for 20? I said, how about $3? Would you do that? She's like, okay, fine. So I opened up my wallet and I handed this woman $3 in the form of a $1 bill and a $2 bill, because I'm a weirdo. And she's like, whoa, a $2 bill? I didn't think anyone still used those anymore. And her 2 kids are standing there watching the transaction, and they're like, a $2 bill? What? Like, they'd never seen one before. So I just taught these kids an interesting quirk about American money. Yes, we have a $2 bill, but no, nobody uses it. Anyway, the games I got were Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2003. Not because I like sports games, but because I like golf. I got Brute Force, which a friend recommended to me a while ago, and I saw it and I remembered the recommendation, so thank you very much, Dan. I appreciate it. And the Platinum Hits version of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which I used to play growing up with friends, but I never owned it. And it's not complete, unfortunately, but it's in there, which is enough for me. The only thing I don't like about this copy in particular is that the case is a little busted. And I don't have any spare Xbox cases that have the green coloring like this. So I will have to figure something out another time. But I'm really glad that I picked these up. I'm very happy. Thank you, woman whose kids didn't know about $2 bills. Alright, now we're moving into April. I only got 3 things in April, and I'll do the best one last, even though I got it first in April. There were a couple of games on my buy list that I had just been waiting to find and waiting to get, and for months I just never found them. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna buy these online. And luckily I found them pretty cheaply online. The first one was Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia, which is a remake of Fire Emblem Gaiden for the Famicom, which I do own. So now I have this one also. I like Fire Emblem a lot, and I was really happy to pick this up. I got it brand new online, so whoever owned this before me never opened it, even though this game's like a year or 2 old. Whatever. And then I got Uniracers online also. Uniracers, in case you don't know, is a quirky game made by DMA Design, the same people who originally designed Grand Theft Auto. And it's a game where you are a unicycle doing tricks and flips and a bunch of other bullshit. But oh no, the big bad Pixar, they came along and they said, excuse me, DMA, this game infringes on the copyright that we have on this one movie we made about a unicycle. And yeah, it's obvious copyright infringement. There's no way that that an anthropomorphic unicycle could exist in 2 different media and not be the copyright infringement. There's absolutely no way. I'm sorry, we're gonna have to sue you. And they won! And this game had to be taken off of shelves, which makes it rare, but nobody really likes this game, so it's inexpensive even though it's rare. So there's Uniracers. I'm happy I own this because it's a piece of history. Sorry, Pixar, I don't share your same opinion. Think you're a greedy butt. But you made Toy Story, so I forgive you, I guess. Uniracers. So the last thing that I got, well, I actually got it with something else. And I will show that off, don't worry. So I guess I technically got 4 things in April. Let me talk about that one first. I went to the Video Game Trading Post to get rid of a couple doubles and to pick something up that I had arranged to pick up with the owner of the Video Game Trading Post, Mike, who is now a friend of mine. Thank you, Mike. I'm very happy to be your friend because I love your store. But he was getting rid of a Sega Pico, which I already owned. But he was getting rid of the box also. So I asked him if he would just sell the box. He said yes. It's in a little crappy condition, but it exists. And now I have a Sega Pico and the box. Someday I'll find the inserts and everything will be all great and well and good, but yeah. I know I've talked about the Sega Pico before on my Facebook, in case you follow me there, but the Sega Pico was an educational children's console made by Sega in the mid-90s, and it was actually pretty successful for them. They stopped manufacturing it for American purchase only like a couple years after it first came out, but it lasted in Japan all the way up until the mid 2000s, like 2000 to 2010. I think it stopped in like 2005 or something like that. But yeah, there it is. It's super cool. I could talk more about the console itself, but I got the box for it, so I'm happy about that. But yeah. one last jump cut here. I'll talk about the last game, and then we'll do the final jump cut, where I'll say goodbye. Let's do it. So while I was at the video game trading post, I thought to myself, I'm at 1,499 games. I should really get a game that I don't have and needed this whole time, like a big one to just... It's my 1,500th game. What am I gonna get? And I looked around and I thought to myself, I also want it to be for a console that I don't have a lot of games for, and need to have more games for. So my mind immediately went to their Nintendo 64 section, where I spotted they had a cheap enough copy of Pokemon Stadium 2, which, growing up, I never played, and I never had. And now, I get to do both. I get to have it, which I do, and I will definitely play it. I gave it the end label that I give to all my N64 games. It's beautiful. I love it. 1,500 unique video games, and this is the one that did it. It's better than I am, and I'm very, very happy. And that does it for March and April of 2019. Thank you so much for joining me for these pickup videos. I'm sorry this one was super duper late. I didn't really give notice about doing a double monther, and I never seem to give notice, but I'm still happy that you're here watching this video. And remember, it's not just games that are the most important things in the world, it's video games that are. Don't forget that. I'll see you guys next month. Thanks so much.